The name of this chapter is Friends Will Be There. All the other chapters had names. I forgot to mention them, but this one is about friends. Travis had never had a real friend. They lived way back out there on the ranch. No one was close by. Other than his family, Grandpa, his mom and dad, and his sister Meg. That was about his whole life. Well, he remembered last summer he almost had a friend in a wetback about his age or maybe a little older that was passing through their ranch. Now, I promise you, I did not know anything about DACA or the Dreamers or what we're going to do when I wrote this. I simply wrote about the way it is in Texas. Well, this boy and his two cousins were passing through their ranch, and Grandpa and his Travis's dad really had heated feelings about that sort of thing. How are we going to handle them? Well, it ain't right. It just ain't right, Grandpa declared with heat. Our government should not have to take them on, put them on Medicaid, educate them, because their own government is so corrupt it can only put millions of dollars back into the pockets of the PRI and the PAN politicians. There's nothing right about it. Our paying below living wages, not reporting it, makes us all a den of thieves preying on each other. Well, his son Lowell said, if you kept all the legal Mexicans out, you would have to close down Texas. There would be no concrete work done, no roofing, and all those lush lawns in Dallas would be brown and dry with no wetbacks there to prune and water them. Well, it ain't right. And as long as I'm around here, we're not hiring them, Grandpa said. Well, we can give them work for a day or two, feed them, give them some rest, a place to sleep, and let them go on to their greener pastures, all those smooth rolling lawns in Dallas. And so it happened that these three youngsters were passing through. Chavez was the youngest of them. He was about 14. And so they had a little cabin there on their place that wetbacks could stop and sleep in on their way. And so Travis's mother always kept a little food in there so that they could have something to eat and drink. And then there were some cots that they slept on. So that was just what they did. And so these guys were passing through, and they had a little work for them to do. They wanted to build a fence. So their dad, Travis's dad, gave them work making a fence for 2 or 3 days while they kind of rested up and did some work and went on their way. So Chavez and Travis made this fence together. They simply had a contest going on, although they had not exactly declared it or set the rules for it. Travis would pound his post, counting the strokes of his fencing tool as it went into hard, dry land, and he would rush over to the trailer for another, hoping to get another metal post going before Chavez had last pounded his in place. Well, depending on who hit a rock first, usually determined the winner. If you hit a rock, there was no contest. You had to either dig it out or inch past it to set your post. Pound, pound, pound. The sound of T-posts being driven into the earth declared no language barrier. "Hey, gringo!" Chavez laughed and gave Travis the thumbs-up signal as they stopped to get a drink of water. "Hey, Mexicano!" Travis declared, returning the thumbs up, and the two boys stood there laughing in the sun, water dripping off of their chins from their water jugs, and salty sweat dripping into their eyes, blue eyes, black eyes. Well, the 3 days were soon up, and their task was done, and they could look at their silver-tipped T-posts running down for that long pasture that they were building, and his cousins had stretched the wire while they were pounding the posts, and so there was a good fence, and it was time for them to move on to other things. Throughout their work, Chavez had worn only a pair of thongs made out of old tires. He thrashed through mesquite and cedar brush and stepped over ant beds over the rocks where Travis knew there were rattlesnakes probably there. So when they were going to go, Travis gave him his least worn pair of Nikes. Well, Chevelle just looked at him, uncomprehending. But then when he understood that Travis wanted to give him those shoes, his eyes got bright, and he reached deep into his pocket, and for a minute Travis thought, oh, he's going to try to pay me. How embarrassing. But when the boy brought his hand out of his pocket, it was not money he gave Travis, but an arrowhead, a perfectly chipped point, two perfectly indented bases. He must have picked it up somewhere in his slow trot from Mexico through Texas. Gracias, Travis told him. Gracias, gringo. Then both boys smiled, and they gave each other the thumbs-up signal once more, and the young boys started out at dark, for they wanted to take advantage of the cool night and didn't dare to show themselves in the light of day. Travis watched them go, their three silhouettes etched against the darkening sky. Chavez was still wearing his tire-soled shoes, the new Nikes slung over his shoulders. Perhaps he was saving his Nikes when he would tread in greener pastures in Dallas. Well, now that Travis had started to school, there were just all kinds of guys, and he didn't really know how to make friends, but two of them seemed to be kind of interested in him. So one came up to him one day and said, I hear you're a rich rancher. A boy named Todd came up to him. Me rich? Well, we're not rich. You'd have to be rich to have all that land. Well, we have a lot of dirt to look after, but it's just dirt, not money. Well, another boy, Sam Higgins, came along. And he was impressed by the algebra that Travis was able to do, and it was so hard for them. He said, if I could do that, I think I was Einstein. How do you do it? Well, it's just a way of thinking. It's just another direction your mind goes. And another thing, on the football field, they were surprised at how fast he could run. He had never run anywhere before. He chased cows around or along a galloping horse he was trying to rope, but he never timed himself. He didn't know he could run fast. And his coach said, well, I think it's those long, smooth muscles where we can get you can get big guards. Now, when we get you trained, by the time you're in high school, you're going to be a fast, streaking son of a gun. Well, Travis was so proud of himself he could pop. He had learned that 100 yards were not such a long way. But there were other things he had not learned. They let him carry the ball, and he could run with it if everybody got out of his way. But they didn't get out of his way. The guys were tackling him from right to left and behind, and down he went, hitting the dirt, and the ball shooting out of his arms, bouncing away. And Coach Tompkins called him in, but he didn't get off to Travis. He's falling down and eating dirt. He said, now, Sam Higgins and Art Martin, Travis cannot carry this ball down the goal if you don't run interference for him. You blokes get down there and get the tackles. Let the tackles have a holler. Get this guy, block him, block him. Now let's do it again. And block they did. Sam ran one guy completely off on the sidelines, and Art took another one down on the left, and the guy that was trailing Travis fell down on his own, and Travis dashed into the end line, smooth as greased lightning, holding the ball high. Well, all of his teammates rallied around him, thumping and patting him on the back. And but it was not Travis that Coach Tompkins patted on the back. It was Sam and Art. He said to Travis almost sternly, you'd never make it on your own. You have to have guys running interference, you know. It's called teamwork, and don't you forget that. Then Travis thought of the ladder Grandpa said he was climbing, and here was Art and Sam pushing him up the rungs. Yes, sir, Coach.